Stinky Popcorn Boys.
We watch movies and eat popcorn. And our
Hello. We are the Stinky Popcorn Boys. Just some boys talking about movies and how they made us feel. I am Patrick Basquill, and I am everywhere, everything, all at once.
Nice. And I'm John Gilardi, and I'll never look at dreams the same way again. That's not really like a fun introduction thing, but I don't know. Like,
no, I think it's good.
That's sick. That made dreams fun for me. I'm gonna daydream. I'm gonna fantasize that they are alternate multiverse versions of me.
I wonder if you could make people, like, if you're like, ooh, I want this to be a world, and then like you imagine it so it comes into existence, or like you find it, you know? Do you know what I'm saying?
I think it exists.
Where it's like,
or like, rather that like there's infinite possibilities. So if you think, yeah, there's probably a world where everything's same, but my fingernails grow out the color green naturally, but it's an identical universe, you know, or something like. And it's literally infinite. There's a universe that is the same as this one. I have my phone; it's on my right, but instead it's on the left. You know, like, yeah, it's crazy. So like I don't know. So that like there's a paint world or something. I don't know. It's pretty cool.
But you know what I mean? Where it's like, what comes first? You imagining it, you having the dream, or it existing?
It exists simultaneously.
Okay, so everything exists all at once.
Yeah. As the title of the last multiverse movie we talked about. Did we talk about that movie?
We didn't talk about it.
Oh, we need to. Maybe we can bleed it into this, since they're both kind of
sort of
multiverse movies. Yeah, I mean the multiverse stuff is hot right now.
It's so hot right now, dude.
You had Rick and Morty, then you had like tastes of it with the end game, and then now it's the big thing with this Marvel stretch. You had everything everywhere all at once.
Yeah,
I love it. I throughout high school and college, I read alternate history books, which isn't necessarily multiversal, but it is.
It sort of is. It like kind of plays around with that idea.
Yeah. And so, I don't know. It's just
it's all funny too, especially for the MCU, because I really feel like a lot of it, and this is a complete conjecture and I'm making it up, but I like the idea that this whole thing was sort of like built off of the chaotic idea, like the chaotic like business dealings of that sort of like post Civil War. Like they were like, all right, we got to figure out a way. We have to have an out for Spider-Man. We've got to have an out for some of these things. We've got to figure out this way. How can we get the most out of Spider-Man that we possibly can? And then also allow Sony to not just be like, to create their own things as well. So I just really feel like, I just think that it was like born out of like business necessity, these like wild leaps. But I also, I also understand that this is something that has been there, but that it initially was too also used to, so that they could be like, they could tell like what if stories and be like, well, this person got hired to write Wolverine, but like the Wolverine in continuity for like the main sort of story doesn't have these sort of aspects. And then, but we want to do a Wolverine that does have these sort of aspects. And so then you like sort of like actually, guess what? It's a different Earth, and there's a multiverse.
Which I think it'd be elements of that. Maybe it was the proof of concept too, ultimately, because as you mentioned, like these storylines have been there, and also I think it's just the timeline of setting things up and building that history. You know, like alternate history works because it plays off of established history we know, you know, and so the Marvel MCU had to establish everything. They had to like,
I like it.
Build
I think
their
it's
world,
cool. I think
build
it's
their
a cool
historical
thing.
moments, and so I think it's just a matter of time getting here, more so than a happy accident. But
yeah,
I think
it's also like decision points.
Yeah, and so I think the Spider-Man thing was maybe just the proof of concept, and they kind of pushed it more and more. Oh, Loki. I mean, big multiverse thing. Obviously, Spider-Man as well.
I would say too is I think that in the original like sort of release schedule, I think Doctor Strange's Multiverse of Madness was supposed to come out first, and then Spider-Man No Way Home. which would make.
Do you know why that happened that way?
Are you going to tell me?
No, that was a question to you.
Oh, I don't know why. Well, I would assume it's probably like COVID stuff. Or scheduling
that's
conflicts
right. Okay,
and stuff.
I don't know the reasons, but I know that this was made actually at the same time as the WandaVision show. So that means this was worked on a moment ago.
Yeah.
Because
I know that they changed directors. They changed directors early on the process, and they got rid of Scott Derrickson and hired Sam Raimi. And so because Scott Derrickson is still credited as an executive producer. I think he also has a story credit somewhere. I don't remember. I could check it, but right now I'm not going to. But I think that and that makes sense too. Is like if we, fully sort of like dive in, if we have Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness, if that happens before Spider-Man: No Way Home. Also, I feel like maybe, and I'm just jumping all over the place now. I'm sorry. I feel like they were like, "Ooh, we better strike while the iron's hot. Well, we've got these boys signed on. We better go ahead and do this. We're gonna make sure we can make this fucking absolutely bonkers crossover happen, while we can, for sure. And then, probably for other just like a multitude of reasons. But it makes more sense if like Doctor Strange understands the consequences of his actions going in, or he knows that it's possible, and then he knows what like an incursion is and what all these things are.
That makes
going
more sense.
into No Way Home, so that he's like, but also too, us as an audience. I saw this from someone on TikTok or somewhere on YouTube or something like that, where they're like, imagine him knowing the consequences of this, and us also as the audience knowing the consequences of these actions, as we've seen places with incursions sort of like play out, and it's like, oh shit, because that's what's happening.
I think it works out this way, because if it was this movie first, then No Way Home, then it would feel like a cheap event, like whatever. But this, like, you can kind of draw the line of like, he didn't learn anything necessarily with multidimensional playing with, but he just like, it's like, oh shit, that was a mistake. And then he has that thing that happened. He doesn't really know how dangerous it was, but now he knows how dangerous it was because people have told him why. And so I think this order makes sense. He mentioned like, oh, I had a situation with Spider-Man when he was talking to America Chavez for the first time, sort of the first time when they sat down.
That thing.
And that was like, I mean, this is just stupid nitpicking, but these are they're important plot points, so I don't think it's nitpicking. But like, so he remembers I mean, obviously he remembers Spider-Man, but he remembers what he did with Spider-Man. So like, does he just remember everything, but not remember the boy, the person,
like not remember who it is? I mean, I guess that too. And I don't remember the specifics of the spell, because that's one of the things with magic is like specificity is key, as a magician myself. But it just feels like with all the sort of like, with all the magic across various things, specificity is key, because if you're making a deal with the fairy, you're making a deal with the fiend, a genie, whatever. If you got to be specific with how you lay out the spell, and that's how you're able to create fun narrative things. That you're able to create fun narrative things by playing within the lines of sort of like a vague statement of what the spell is, So if he's like, that's why too, if you're a good sexy wizard, you can figure out a way to logic your way into knowing stuff, but I'm sure in the moment, Doctor Strange was like, I got to do what I got to do right here in this moment to do this shit. Like, to just, like, rock it, bro.
Yeah. I mean, it still felt a lot in this Mark Hamill and No Way Home, but just a weird plot device to kick off a fun event. Like, it felt like a Disney ride, more so, where they have all the kind of pre-show stuff, and it's all the characters and the sets and all these things that you've come to know, but it's kind of existing in this kind of parallel world, and a lot of them, they like to say it's canon, like the Star Wars rides and stuff, but I don't. It's just its own thing, and it's playing with these established stuff, and I like that. And so, there's elements of the setup and the motion of No Way Home with Doctor Strange that just feel weird, I guess. And so there's that weird disconnect from that Doctor Strange to then this titular movie Doctor Strange. The same way there's the weird Wanda kind of character arc development from the TV show to then this movie, which apparently is because they were making it at the same time and they weren't able to see the end result, I guess, either way.
Well,
so there's like a weird overlap of character kind of
development or lack of development.
Yeah, between these three movies, or these two movies in one show, and each thing is good, in a sense.
Yeah.
Spider-Man's good. It's an event. It's like it's maybe a movie you don't give a rating because it's a ride. It's not a movie, and that's not like a critique or anything on the filmmakers or cinema. That's just I don't know. I think I've called an event 3 or 4 times by now. But then Doctor Strange, fun movie, and we'll dive into that more. But like a good contained movie, and then the WandaVision show, fun, very experimental, and I like what they did. Obviously, the finale was a little weird with the COVID stuff messing it up, but it was still a pretty good show. But when you string those three things together,
they're like a little incongruous, and this sort of like is like
which is weird for Marvel, because normally they're very good at that. And there's been weird inconsistencies and plot holes before. It's like, don't get me wrong, like they haven't been ironed up or iron button tight.
Yeah,
whatever the expression is. But
like, they haven't had TV shows up to this point.
Yeah,
not really. Too. Not that have an impact on the movies. And so it's like, this is because like they're all sort of like self-contained, and with self-contained by that I mean they're in the movies, so it's like their big event, and then you also like, and I imagine the process of making a TV show is much different than the process of making a movie, where it's like things are set and we're making this movie, and it's sort of like this long process, probably like a 4 to 6 month process for making one of these big blockbusters, at least in terms of like the principal photography. It's probably, it's much longer than that too, as far as you go from development, writing, pre-production, production, post-production, or whatever. But those things are set. Whereas like if you have a TV show, and granted, they're still they still have that same thing, but it's a much quicker process. And there's like a lot more moving pieces, where it's like you're shooting episode 3 and then and the shooting episode 3 and 2, or depending on what your sort of like release schedule is like, you're sort of, and I'm sure with the Marvel TV shows, it's much more like, here's the things and we're shooting them, and it's probably pretty organized. But still, there's a lot more material that you have to sort of like go through, and it's not put all necessarily in one place. And like, it's just like crossing streams. And plus, you add to the fact with the Sony thing, you have with the Sony Spider-Man stuff, is you're going to another company and you're trying to fulfill their wishes as well, and you're going across different things, trying to make this work, and it just makes things complicated. Makes things complicated, like, because in the show, one of the things I feel like when we go back and look at what we talked about with WandaVision, is it felt like it was maybe like they neutered it a little bit. And I know that I felt like they should have had her go be badder. And they like essentially made her end up the hero in the story, and like have her learn her lesson, because that's a much better way to finish telling a TV show than it is to leave. And then they gave us this like bullshit end where she's like found the Darkhold, and that sets up Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And then when we get to Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, she's like, oh yeah, everything's all real, baby, all real all the time. And then they just get right into her being the villain. And I just think like that was one of the things. That's what threw me for a loop or disappointed me the most, I would say, about this movie. Was that sequence, was him going to her early in the movie. We got this in, we got the setup. That's cool. It's a little kind of, and like you saying that it's like sort of like a ride where it's like, all right, here's all the things. Like here's our quick setup. As far as it goes, pretty good setup for like a beginning thing. You know, it's a little fast. It's a little thing, but also it's like throw us right in the middle of the story. I love it. Throw us in the middle of America Chavez's story and have us catch up with the person that we know. Great stuff. Love it. But then we go to Wanda, and she's like, "Oh, I'm the bad guy." Right in that same scene. And like for me, I'm like, okay, well, I guess here we are. But I think that like the pacing was weird. I feel like they could have escalated that, and that would have played better. They could have escalated that, and that would have played better with the ending of what WandaVision was, where it's like if they have her, and it is real. Maybe it is real.
Yeah.
And like does have an apple farm. She made it with magic or whatever, but it's real. She doesn't like reveal into being this like spooky, scary thing. But like she slowly gets to the point where she's sort of fighting those like inner demons. She's having a little Scarlet Witch Wanda Maximov thing with like sort of like a Gollum Smeagol, where she's like, I could see those kids again. And like maybe she's been fucking herself up a little bit. And like, you know, they could have also then showcased those two characters like intellects and also magic intellects. Because if you have that scene and Wanda's like, oh, why are they chasing America? And you have Strange clock it, but doesn't say anything. And he doesn't do anything about it at the time. And then we have like a fun moment where he's like, all right, well, come to us at the Sanctum Sanctorum, and we'll just, you know, come to us in like 2 days, and we'll like get it set up and we'll get it good. And then like she gets to the Sanctum Sanctorum, she's regular old Wanda, and she's like, and then they trap her. They put all these magic things on her, and they're, whoa, trap, you're trapped. And Doctor Strange is like, monologue. I'm a good guy, and I figured it out. Because you know what, Wanda? I never said her name. And Wanda's like been struggling in the trap or whatever, and she's like, oh. She looks at Strange and she says, I know, and transforms into the Scarlet Witch. All hell breaks loose. Much better villain reveal. Maybe we get to see her struggle with that a little bit. Like we get to that point in the movie, Strange goes away, then it becomes a little bit more like, you know, Captain America Civil War, where we then see Wanda struggle as she's like, now to us she reveals that she's the bad person, and like has this sort of like internal monologue, or sort of like dialogue that we know, like, so it's, but then we get to that, like, it's a much better villain reveal, even though we all know it's eventually happening. But like, I don't know, just to have that and to lose that sort of like, to just make it like a firefight and just like have her sort of impose her will, when I just feel like we could have had a better way to it, even if it's not the way that I like laid out. Like, I just feel like,
I mean, I enjoyed the action scene, like seeing how dangerous she is.
Yeah,
and just like that was sick. I enjoyed that visually, but I do think I think there was a better way of them revealing her villainhood that would work better towards the TV show, which just would make it slower, or make it like, oh yeah, okay, let's go. And she comes, because he's asking her to come to the place, right? The
Sanctum Sanctorum, yeah.
Or no, the base, I don't know, that she attacks later. Like,
yeah,
what if she just came there?
Chimertage.
Yeah, that one. Like, if she just shows up there, like, invited, and then does a betrayal there. You know,
yeah,
it's like
that's
a
what I'm
stark
saying.
thing. But, yeah, so it's that would be, it's still stark enough, but it gives that time to breathe and for us to live a little bit longer with and thinking she's the good guy. And I think in terms of WandaVision, like,
especially because everybody expects her to be the bad guy. So if you play against those expectations initially, then you build some
even
tension.
Just a moment, yeah.
Even for just a moment, you build the tension, or you could even drag it out even a little bit longer, and you could see if Wanda maybe is like, hey, maybe I can figure out a way to make, like, again, like you did with fucking the Green Goblin, in fucking No Way Home, where you have them go along to see if Wanda can figure out a way to make what she wants works, as well as, because she doesn't necessarily want to kill America. She doesn't necessarily want to do this stuff. But if she can figure out a way, it's just like we're jumping to the end goal there, and I feel like we didn't see her figure out, as the character that we've seen, we didn't see her try and figure out if there are other options. And it's just like...
we also didn't see any of that inner turmoil. It's like Wanda's in there. This is the Scarlet Witch. And we see that with Dr. Xavier just for a moment. But like that's it. There's no inner turmoil stuff. And even when she sacrifices herself at the end, there's no clear change, I guess, or like I have to rewatch it, but like there's no like, oh, Wanda, or like maybe he calls her Wanda, or maybe she calls her, I don't know. I watched it last night, but I'll have to watch it again. But just there wasn't that turn. Like she saw that she saw herself as the monster when she had that when America made that window with Scarlet Witch and
I like
Wanda.
I like that. I like seeing yourself like as you truly are. I think that's cool.
I'm not complaining with that at all. I'm just saying, in terms of the Wanda Maximov we got to know.
Yeah.
She, the one that we've followed for years and years since American,
since Ultron,
since Ultron, yeah. So like this is her end. That's like, it's like that's, then maybe they'll bring in a parallel Wanda, and she's still there.
They've established that they can. A, we didn't see the body. B, there was that sort of like energy explosion that could have been her sort of changing reality and like going whatever. When she brought the fucking Betty Bum place that was built for her in an age long past. And also we've established that the other Wanda Maximoff also has magic powers. The one from 838.
Yeah. I mean, it's I'm sure this isn't the last we've seen of her, but of course there's always those bitter sound bites that come out, like how Elizabeth Olsen's upset about the opportunities being contractually obligated to Marvel. So it's like, okay, a death, kind of off screen, but it's like, okay, let's see. So maybe she just has more negotiating power going forward in terms of timing of projects, but I don't know.
Well, I think what she was lamenting in the sort of the sound bites that I saw was that she lost out on roles because of Marvel things. Like she lost out on fun acting roles, I guess.
Yeah.
That's what she said.
But to that, I feel like she
get over
it. I feel like of all the Marvel things she's been in, I hope she had the most fun with this.
Yeah.
It was just interesting. She was a pretty good bad guy, despite the weird jankiness of how we got there. But it was cool to see her have a little bit more personality. Obviously, we saw her in a WandaVision, but personally, for me, I didn't feel like she had a lot of. I don't know. After rewatching, I see it more and more because I know these characters well and I know their stories and I'm picking up on things. But like my first impressions going through Marvel and calling back to that was I didn't know who she was, and I never got the sense of her power. I don't know. It's just she wasn't that interesting to me on my first pass through, and so I forgot what my thesis
Civil
was
War.
there.
Civil War feels a little bit better. Having rewatched
because that's
it.
they start to introduce Vision. Well, okay, so like in Ultron, there's like the side story is like Hawkeye and her, and it's like Hawkeye is kind of the lame Avenger guy, and she's getting her screen time and development from him kind of mentoring her, and it just it feels so cast aside. So that kind of established that motif for me, and I still don't know what my what my thesis was I was building towards.
Oh, sorry.
It's frustrating. No, I already lost it before.
Yeah.
But But she was having okay. So there was a lot more personality. That's what I was going to say. There's a lot more. Just obviously, WandaVision was interesting on many levels, but with this, just standalone, this was probably the most expressive and wild we've seen Wanda / Scarlet Witch. I don't know. Like it was clear what she wanted. She had flaws in her reason, but she just went hard, and I liked it. There was the kind of like Terminator kind of pursuit scene with her and the that one world they go with with the Illuminati.
A38.
And seeing her destroy the Illuminati too was super interesting, and
that was
really impactfully shot too. We knew who these people were, like Fantastic Four. I knew who all they were except for the Fort guy. But like seeing, like just being introduced to them, and then seeing like you got to know who they were just because you kind of draw from the ones you know from our kind of Marvel universe, and their deaths had so much impact, I guess, in a sense of their screen time we had. It was really interesting because you don't get that like our heroes getting cast aside, and like I don't know the Captain Carter or whatever. What's her name? Is it Captain? What is it? Is it
Captain Carter? Yeah.
Yeah, like her death. I don't know. Like I like the way it was shot, and it was very sad.
Yeah.
And it was the dread. It had good dread too. That fight. Like as soon as I forgot his name, Forkhead lost his mouth.
Black Bolt.
Panic.
That was fucking great. So one of the things that's funny about that is they tried to do way back. This is way back whenever that's the only failure that Marvel has had, I would say, up to this point, was Marvel's Inhumans, and it was supposed to be a movie. It was one of those. It was supposed to be a movie, and then it was downgraded to like a TV show. And that dude is like the leader of it. So it's like, what are they fucking called? The Meridian Mists or something?
Interesting.
But they're essentially, it's funny because they're like sort of like the Eternals, where they live on the inside of the planet or some fucking shit like that, where they're sort of like the precursors to the mutants and like the X-Men. Terrigen Mists? Yeah, Terrigen Mist. And it also is a part of the fucking Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So they like lay things with that and so now it's funny that it's far enough away. I think this show came out in 2017 or something like that. But it's like their biggest failure, and Black Bolt is like the leader of it, but his power is his voice is so powerful that the slightest whisper can destroy a city, so he can't talk, and if he does talk, he kills you, which you saw. But it's just funny that they brought their biggest failure back. I don't know. It's just interesting.
It was cool. I didn't know that linkage was there. Yeah, the Illuminati was just a cool sequence. Do you think John Krasinski?
See, that's
the
question
it for him.
Do you think that's the question? Because
everyone else, then, including Black Bolt, is someone we've seen.
Yeah,
or is a variation of someone we've seen. So
like Monica Rambeau being Captain Marvel.
Because it would be interesting to see older Fantastic Four instead of doing their origin story for the third time.
Yeah.
I don't know. John Krasinski's not pretty old, but like he looked long. The way they presented him, he was pretty long in the tooth. So it's, is that what we're going for?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good casting. The only issue with John, like with going with the older Reed Richards, is like, where have you been, bro? You're smart. If you're the smartest guy in the world, where you been, homie? Like, where you been? I mean, what's up, bro? Unless they come back from space.
They'll make it.
I'm sure they'll figure
explain
it out.
well.
I'm sure they'll figure it out. I'm not worried about it. Also, at the end of the day, it's not a big deal. But I do wonder if, and that's what I like. I wondered watching this. I was like, is this gonna be his like one and done, where they get to do both, where they get to play fan service, like kind of like Venom being in a thing where they get to like play fan service and have Venom be like, oh, this guy
could be,
or is this them announcing that John Krasinski is cast as Reed Richards? You know, because it doesn't seem there isn't any, like, people are like, yeah, he's it, and it doesn't seem like anybody's confirming that he's going to be Reed Richards in the upcoming Fantastic Four, who I just read because I was literally looking this up because I was like, John Watts, the director of No Way Home, the Spider-Man trilogy. He is no longer the director of the Fantastic Four that is being developed. So there's rumors that John Krasinski is in the running to direct it, and I would say that that's probably either.
It's an interesting tell then, if that is a true rumor. But I think just the overall, because we had the weird soft one with Quicksilver and the WandaVision, but then this feels more real, I guess, in a sense.
Yeah.
Like the WandaVision Quicksilver reveal was just like it was truly fan service. It was like they just took this actor that was in the movies and had him be a version of it. But it was more so in the canon. It was just a different representation. It wasn't that one, which was weird.
Yeah.
Which then makes this weird. But this is more. These are versions of people that exist, or these are the people that exist, just different versions of them, you know. And so then I don't know how they tie that into our MCU, you know, where have these people been? Where are mutants? Where it's Fantastic Four.
Mm-hmm. What's been going on?
It'll be interesting to see how they integrate that, and will it be, they're just in a different universe, you know, all along. Where was it 686 or 868, whatever it is?
838.
838 establishes this is a universe where we have the Marvel properties that we saw in the MCU and the ones that they just bought from Fox or Century Fox, whatever, you know. So like this is a universe where they both exist together. And so are we going to does our universe have that, or are we going to our Marvel universe have that, or are they going to be brought in? I don't know. It's interesting to see. I think, you know, I love the multiverse stuff. I love the time the time travel-y side of it. I love the different versions of everyone everyone and everything, but I wonder if it's starting to like create too easy of kind of plot devices, or like taking away easy or just providing easy ins and outs, you know, because it would, you know, if there's no multiverse, how do you introduce Fantastic Four in this world? And then mutants are the big one because they're just part of the population in a sense with the X-Men, and so
which is the whole deal of it.
Yeah, so it's just how does that work, and I don't know, and I wonder if they're gonna fall back on the multiverse stuff as the kind of easy thing there. So far, they haven't pushed on it to tell easy devices. I think the biggest thing is they brought is it Gamora?
Huh?
Zoe Saldana's character in
yes, Gamora.
Guardians. Yeah, so they brought her back in a sense, just with an alternate self. And I don't know if she's chilling in our universe now or not. But she wasn't. She wasn't in the shot in that Thor Ragnarok trailer. You know where Star-Lord's like, you gotta love the ones who look at you, whatever. And Thor's like looking, and then you see.
She's got to figure out her own.
She's
path,
just not there.
I think from what I know.
But I think they're all done. Or at least a bulk of them are done after the next Guardians movie, which is interesting. Which I think just wrapped.
Yeah, I think the Guardians Volume 3 just wrapped. Guardians Volume 3 just wrapped, and I know that his contract is up. Again, I think one of the things...
That guy's done. He's probably the most done out of all of them.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's probably done, but that being said, the way that it works is if they offer you $5 million to do... If they offer you $5 million to do 2 weeks on set, you're probably going to do it,
Yeah.
to finish off your story.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Groot, and I don't see Bradley Cooper being... He just needs to voice act.
He just does voice acting. But I think James Gunn is done,
yeah,
too, which is the main thing. But what was I going to say? Oh, yeah, I mean, I think that they're just... it's very interesting because this is also the point where you lose people with comics in general. Like where it's like
we're getting deeper.
Yeah, where it's like you just get deeper and deeper, and the further you go along, like, because before, if you want to think about it like this way, how I'm thinking about it currently, it's like before you start with Iron Man, and that's like the base of the tree, and then you go up and up and up, it's pretty singular, it's pretty good. You've got one little offshoot here that's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you've got one little offshoot here that's Inhumans, but those are like clipped and they don't necessarily matter because the trunk is so thick. But then we get up to the top, and there's so many branches now. Like now, there's just got so many branches, and it's like as it sort of goes, it gets like sort of unwieldy, and people can't either keep up or just like it's just not as solid as it was before. And so it's a little bit harder to follow, and then also to build off of, because you're building off of this one branch, but you're trying to build Earth 838, and you've got all these different sort of like storylines and patterns and things that are going through, and it's just like I could just see it becoming, it's reaching sort of like an event horizon where it's like I will continue to watch them, but it's just like and again with them sort of making Wanda the villain easy in the beginning, where she's like, here's your adventure hook, here's your way into the story, I'm the villain, here's the twist, it's right here in the first 15 minutes of the movie. You don't have to think about it too hard because we have to make this accessible to everybody and simplify it down, and I feel like you sacrifice a good amount of storytelling for that to make that the case. And I just think that they're going to reach a point where it's going to become unwieldy, where they've got all these different storylines, and they're just having trouble keeping up.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a general critical mass, hitting that. And it's like, I think introducing the multiverse, as cool as it is, just hits takes critical mass to a different level. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I don't know, like, say you have you have something that's getting too big to hold itself together, like it's losing its structure. But like, let's just make that thing goo, and it can get big as it can, and it can be in whatever shape, like that's cool, endless opportunities, and it can just keep getting bigger and bigger. But that doesn't mean it has any shape. Like it still has no shape. Yeah. And so I don't know if that makes sense, but that's kind of like where it's going, and I'm invested enough where I keep track of it, and I'm there, and I'm having fun with it.
Well, it's also you're caught up.
Ignore,
like if you got super busy or whatever, and you weren't able to go for a year, and then you tried to go to see the new thing, like the new what I can't think of what like the next I can't think of what the next like big event movie would be, because now the movies are getting so big. Because like No Way Home, Doctor Strange, Shang-Chi was essentially its own thing. That was pretty self-contained.
Moon Knight, self-contained.
People are upset about Moon Knight not having any cameos.
Why'd they expect him in this?
I don't know why they expected.
That's just such linear thinking.
They're like, oh, there's no cameos. That means that Marvel doesn't believe in it, or because like Marvel was like, hey, here's the things that we thought about for some reason. They said that.
So
I don't know why
dumb.
you would say that.
It's first off, there's like kind of different lines. You have this. We talked about it literally last week about how it's the dark line or whatever with the vampires.
Yeah,
and
this is the
shit
beginning
like
of
that.
a new line.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
But have you seen that? Where
no,
people
but
are
I
like,
it doesn't take much. I believe it without having to like.
they're like, oh, the lack
investigate
of Moon Knight cameos is a bad thing. And it's like, what the fuck?
Maybe you should stop
No, it's
watching.
not.
Stop watching your lore videos and your new rock stars countdown videos and Easter egg videos.
This is Watch Mojo's top 10 things you missed in Doctor Strange.
Yeah, come on, guys.
Come on.
But that's kind of what Marvel like reaping what they sow with that too at the same time.
Yeah.
Now. And then
Yeah.
I mean they can't control it, but then the content channels doing that shit is definitely fostering that kind of expectations.
Well, because that's what they need is they want people to watch their shit. That's a fucking endless cycle.
But that's why Shang-Chi felt good. That's why Moon Knight felt good. I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't all need to be connected. The world doesn't need to be small.
Because that's what I feel
Star
like
Wars needs to learn too. Like I love Mandalorian, but
let a Boba Fett show be a Boba Fett show.
Yeah,
like,
but I mean, seeing Luke is cool and Ahsoka, but again, it just makes the world feel small.
Also, just cast Sebastian Stan. Just do it. Everybody said they're okay with it. I fucking hate that like deep fake shit. I'm done with it.
Well, they've shown the guy who's doing it, and the guy just looks like him anyways.
Yeah.
So, come on. Like, people are okay with it.
Yeah.
Like it worked with Han, so I don't know.
Like,
I don't know
because that's the thing is
why.
Alden Ehrenreich looked fine. It was more about the movie. It's not about. Also, I don't know. It's like there. I feel like there's a weird difference. There's a weird difference between, like, Han Solo is so iconic that it's like having someone else do it is like, oh, that's kind of weird. But Luke Skywalker is I don't know. It's like it feels like it's okay if he's played by somebody else because he's a part of the bigger thing. So it's like if you want to tell more of Luke Skywalker's story, then cast somebody else to do it and don't handcuff yourself by making it beholden to technology because you'll be able to tell a better story if you get an actual actor in there.
Well, it makes Luke like event based, you know, instead of such a crude. Like I don't know, it comes down to cameo event based usage of Luke so far, and it's maybe because they're like, yeah, like we can get away with that with this deep fake stuff. That's how we're gonna do it, but he's such a main character, and I don't know, commit to just casting someone and let's do a Luke thing. I don't know, like it doesn't have to.
Just do it.
I don't know who they're trying to appease or like work around or be tactful. Like you don't
because
need
it's
to
not
be.
Mark Hamill. It's not Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill's like, I don't. You guys are gonna pay me regardless.
He doesn't care. Like I feel like he's given his blessing. So it's a weird decision. How do we get on Star Wars? Why are we talking about Star Wars?
Contained
self-contained stuff.
Self-contained stuff.
But I like an interesting thing. I like. Well, just side note. I really want to see Captain Carter stuff. I don't know.
Apparently, she's got some. She's a little bit like anti-vax or anti-mask. She's not necessarily like she's
not
got
the vibe.
She might not be the vibe. She's got Gina Carano opinions. Gina Carano.
She's English, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, but in terms of what's on screen, I would like to see more of that. It's just cool. But anyways, I think something I want to see more of is kind of the Spider-Verse view. Okay, that's another multiverse thing in terms of the animation. But I want to see more of that where the different versions of the hero are different people. the Captain Carter kind of hits it, or the Captain Marvel kind of hits it, but it's so adjacent. It's just like, oh, the other one.
But it's just a different choice.
Yeah.
It's just a different choice in the thing. So it's like.
But I would love to see, like Spider-Gwen or.
Yeah.
I don't know. The
or
Peter
Spider
Porker.
Pig
like
or
all
whatever.
all these different things. Like it would be cool to see a different Iron Man,
Yeah.
Who's like a
Tom Cruise.
24-year-old like MIT graduate or something. Just something like similar, very smart person, but different age, different time, like all these different variables. I don't know. It'd be cool. Like that would be interesting to see more. So I think with the multiverse stuff, like the fan service, seeing Captain Carter was sick and all that kind of stuff, but it would be more interesting to really see how different timelines are. Because I don't know.
Well, and that's why, and that's where you run into the issue of the commercial is the commercial versus what is there, or versus like what is best for the story, because it's obviously better to bring in recognizable people who you've already seen. It's better to bring it's better to bring Benedict Cumberbatch and have Benedict Cumberbatch play with Benedict Cumberbatch than it is to cast somebody else, because then you have to bring in like I said for Moon Knight, where they're like, they get Oscar Isaac to play Oscar Isaac, so they don't have to cast another A-list star to play anybody else, so they don't have to cast anybody else to play any Stephen Stranges if all the Stephen Stranges are the same. But then are all the Reed Richardses the same, or could we cast? And that's why too, I think it's interesting if they had rumored or brought in or thought about trying to get Tom Cruise to play Iron Man. And it's like,
I think ultimately this stuff works, and I get why, and it maybe like you work with the more parallel universes because they're more similar variables, all that different stuff. So I mean, that totally is fine. It makes sense. I'm just saying it'd be fun to see a little bit more, and ultimately I think that is how they're going to introduce some characters to our main universe timeline, like keeping a same hero, but they're coming in from somewhere else. Something that we haven't talked about yet is the character America Chavez. How'd you feel about the essentially new superhero introduced here? Yeah, I
loved it. I'm good with it. I fucking think it's great. I think it's really funny that it's banned because of the presence of a gay character, and I don't know if America Chavez is gay because it's not a part of it at all. All it does is she wears like a pin that's a pride pin. I think
she is,
but but she has moms, and they're there for like a fucking half a second. They're there for like a little bit, and it's just like if America Chavez is gay, which I haven't done any research on intentionally, because you know what? It doesn't matter, because she's just a cool character who's a kid who's nice and cool and fun, and she's wearing a pride pin, and it's like, why? What are you banning? Because there's fucking parents, same-sex parents.
Different cunt. Yeah, well, it's the countries
different
where
cunt.
Like, was it like Saudi Arabia or something?
Yeah,
or just they got like a fundamentalist religious regime, so it's just like does not compute. It's dumb. Again, it's there's nothing there to be fussy about, and if you do, you got issues. And if there even if there was stuff to be, I don't know. That was worded poorly. It's fine. She has two moms. I think they're interdimensional.
I just like it's just funny.
Traveling
it's just
couple,
like it
and they had a daughter, and she's the one version of that. Probably because they're interdimensional traveling beings, and that's cool and
cool as hell.
And so I love that power. She's got a Rick and Morty portal gun with her fist, and the star shape is fun too. I want to know how she got her name. Is interesting.
Yeah,
in terms of just being in different multiversal planes, I guess, and like her origin in a different completely like America. It's just interesting. It is interesting with all the parallel like different forms of things, like red is go, green is stop, all these different things. But her pin is our universe's representation.
Oh, yeah.
It's just it's cool. Keep it there. It's just like, oh, interesting.
That's funny.
I don't know.
I didn't think about that.
Anyways, the pizza balls are cool. The cameo was fun. Within the end credit scene was such a good
Bruce Campbell
tease. Yeah, the Bruce Campbell thing and the post credit
It's
thing was such a
over!
good tease. The zoom in too, like a comedy camera movement.
Yeah,
it was good. Like so many people in the high school students in the theater I saw like, what? That was stupid. We waited for that. I was like, you guys don't get
it.
That's fine. That's fine. And not knowing Bruce Campbell and the Sam Raimi thing, like that's not like common knowledge. Not everyone should know that. But it was just like, I appreciated it. I didn't feel like it was a waste of time. So
I thought it was funny. I thought it was good.
Yeah, it was good stuff.
So I guess now that we've done our introduction, I guess we should say that we're doing Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
This is like the longest discussion of not actually getting in the movie.
We we talked around it, but we definitely were. What is it? We're like done with the podcast now. But yeah, so today we're going to be talking about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. The latest from Marvel, sort of like, setting up their big sort of like next, I just think it's funny. But so, we've talked about it. That's what we're watching. You know it. You clicked on it. What did you like?
Yeah, I liked America Chavez. I like seeing Scarlet Witch and Elizabeth Olsen play crazy.
Yeah.
Evil person, despite it being disjointed from the other stuff. I really like the effects. I like the monsters. I like the magic. Like him summoning demons to do his thing.
I love the use of magic. I've talked about
zombie. The zombie Strange thing was cool. Just super cool imagery.
Who says he has to be alive?
Yeah, it's... And just the multi-dimensional stuff. I love seeing different versions of things. The Illuminati was really fun, and it felt sad seeing them all die. And I had just met them, so I'd say what you will about that. The chase scene was some good fun.
The music fight was dope.
Yes, the Sonic battle that was sick.
The music fight,
and I loved the batshit weird Sam Raimi moments that snuck in throughout the movie. That was fun. That fit here. I really appreciated that.
Yeah.
Those are all my likes. In terms of dislikes, I don't know if I had any. I give this movie a 3.5 stars, but I don't have any strong
big negatives.
Big negatives in terms of it being a contained thing. It's more just how it fits in the bigger picture and kind of getting a little weird. But I also don't care. I'll just keep watching the stuff and keep enjoying it. A solid 3.5.
Okay.
I really liked it. I like the performances. I like the characters. I like the new characters. I like the adjacently side kind of new characters with the Illuminati and I liked it a lot. It was fun. Some of the CGI felt a little not great actually, but it's still fine. There's a lot of CGI in this, so I guess you just kind of gotta stretch the budget and pick and choose your places. But that's my quick and dirty of it.
I thought that it was, I liked it. It was funny because there were times where I was like, there were times where things felt like obviously not as good as the rest of it. Like when he's and this is such a weird thing, but when he's looking for the universe that she's in and he creates that thing, it looks like a stationary image that it's rotating versus it just feels like they didn't animate it. Anyway, that was one that stuck out to me. And then also Wanda's voice in the opening scene was it felt like really weird ADR. And I was like, what are we doing here?
Overall, her voice has just been a fucking trip for them in terms of accent, and
they've had such an issue with it, with trying to be we're gonna have her do an accent, and then it's this accent.
I guess her core being is disjointed, so it makes sense that a movie she's a part of, a line of movies, is disjointed in itself. I guess, who knows? But
I also fucking loved Danny Elfman's music. I loved the sort of rising guitar and
the music fight, like I already said, but like I think Danny Elfman's definitely a big part of that. I love that they brought Danny Elfman in to score it. Fucking Wanda, we've already talked about, but Wanda fucking going ham on the Illuminati. The Illuminati being there in the first place. I fucking also love them being like, we can handle the Scarlet Witch if she decides to dreamwalk. And then them not being able to do it at all. I don't know why that made me feel really good. It shouldn't have, but I was like, you fucking assholes. I love it. I feel bad that you're dying. And also, you know, you love it whenever you get to, like predict the line. Whenever Reed Richards is like, I got kids of myself, you know, and then she's like, is their mother still around? And he's like, yeah, here. And then he's like, we're making a connection. She's like, okay, good. Then they'll have someone to raise them. And she's like, shred ya.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
And like turn them into like straws.
Like ribbon or paper or whatever. Loved it.
Yeah.
Great work.
So, yeah, it's very effects heavy. I guess it's sneaky effects heavy because it's just such a component of it.
Well,
it's
the magic and
you
stuff.
expect it there, so it's like, yeah, of course it's there. When you think, like, wait, you step back, you're like, holy shit, that was a lot. But so then it makes sense that, you know, some things maybe aren't. There's a variation in quality, but it definitely gets the job done. It never took me out.
But then some of the, yeah. Then some of them, like some of the shots were just beautiful, like images, like the staircase up with the water there, or even just like the outside of that house. It was fucking great stuff.
Yeah, just very fun visuals.
That's magic for you, baby.
Yep. Well,
what have you been watching?
I don't know.
Gotcha. Beat you to it. No. I asked you first.
I watched what's it called? They Live for the first time.
Oh, that's a classic.
Very cool. I enjoyed that. That was
who's that? Is that John Carpenter?
Yeah, and I thought it was sick. I don't know. There's not much to say. It was just fun. It was like a weird balance of cheesy action, but also really fun concept and just playing with the cool world. And
yeah,
thoroughly enjoyed that.
Have you ever seen the original Thing?
Like The Thing? Yeah.
The Thing.
Yeah, I've seen that. Great movie.
Love it. We've already.
And that's really all I've seen between besides Doctor Strange and finishing up Moon Knight. So that's my list.
I finished Winning Time, Rise of the Los Angeles Lakers Dynasty. It kind of like ends with like a putter.
With a whimper?
Yeah, I mean it's good and it's like, but it ends with like a little like, boop, 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 boop. But it's like, and then it just asks like begs the question. It's like, is this the beginning? Are we gonna get like, because the Los Angeles Lakers, like it's an interesting story throughout the whole like 80s, but it's like, are we gonna get to the whole 80s? Like, are we gonna? That's like 10 years. You can do 10 seasons of this.
If he keeps making money, you know?
I mean, yeah, but I just felt it's just like it just also ends in such a. They did it. I don't know. It's interesting. I guess I don't know.
That's what we like to say. It's interesting.
It's not necessarily good, but it's like, okay, yeah, nice.
Hey, there's good drama in sports.
I mean, definitely.
And hey, if there's something wacky enough where you can make a TV show where each season is a real season on a sports topic, like hell yeah.
I just feel like they solved the issues. I mean, I know that there's stuff that's going to come up, and there's stuff that's like, this is going to come up, but it also just definitely feels like we got them. We figured it out.
Yeah, I guess you just got to see how wacky and batshit stuff gets, you know?
Yeah.
Well, that wraps up this episode. It's interesting. We need to phase out saying it's interesting out, but it is cool to see how much discussion there was about the movie and about the filmmaking and the trends of it in this episode overall than the content of the film itself.
Yeah.
We hope that was still insightful and gave you guys some information on the film. Usually people come here if they've already heard it themselves, but yeah, interesting little. It kind of just took a different little turn, but not a bad one.
We just, it's a good movie. It's a fun movie. I would say it's probably like I saw. I think that it's like Rotten Tomato or audience score is like 80% or whatever, and I'm like, that's about right. It's not bad.
Yeah,
but it's not changing anything crazy. It's no Winter Soldier.
It felt more of a movie. It didn't feel like I was like, okay, I hope this isn't just an event, and it felt like a movie compared to Spider-Man, which again, great, fun time. It's a movie, obviously, but it just felt like an event. Where this felt like a movie, and that's not as big of a compliment as it sounds like I'm making it, but that's just information I'm relaying.
It is both.
I
It's
guess.
both, where it's not a compliment and it is.
Yeah. Well, hope you guys had a good time and enjoy your pizza balls.
And enjoy your pizza balls. Hey, as they say on 838, hey. I start it every time. As
It's
say,
always a guy from like Chicago.
It's always a guy who says, hey. As they say on 838, hey, my arm stretched really long. Look how long my arm stretched. Here, I'm gonna boop your nose. Boop. That's me. I'm the smart.